Okay, hey, hello there. Welcome to the James Arnold Taylor Podcast. Let's go through our checklist. Big glass of water? Check. Do you have it? Do you have one? If not, get yourself a big glass of water. Why? Because hydration is important. We want to be hydrated. And take a sip. Hey, well, we won't do the sounder. We'll just drink. That's good water. Okay, little sip of water. Some deep breathing. Right, nice through the nose. Out the mouth, relax. I'm listening to the James Arnold Taylor Podcast. Everything is well right now. Now I can just kind of hang out, do my thing. Maybe you're working, maybe you're doing other things, maybe all that while you're listening. Fine, good, welcome. Let's take it all in, but let's also let it all go. Because when you listen to the James Arnold Taylor Podcast, the JATcast, talking to myself, the show. See, I have too many names myself, James Arnold Taylor. It's a big, long name. So my podcast is James Arnold Taylor's Talking to Myself, the podcast, or we call it the JATcast. That's a very long name. Anyways, when you're listening to this show, you relax, you hydrate, you breathe deep, you take in the fact that you're here, you're alive, all is going well at this point, okay? And if it isn't going well, we're gonna try to get you there, okay? Because I know I'm just a silly guy that does voices in cartoons and video games and movies and things. But at the same time, I'm a human being that hopes for the best for everybody. So that's what we're doing. Let's jump in to the James Arnold Taylor. Oh, now it's exciting, isn't it? Let's get right in there. Let's bring in Mr. Announcer Guy. Hey, Mr. Announcer Guy.
Yes, James.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I've had my water, I've breathed deep, and I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, very good. Okay. So then do you want to introduce the show?
It's what I live for, man.
Oh, that's nice. Go for it.
Cue that music, Jerry the Music Man.
Hang on, I'm drinking some water. And breathing deep. And cueing the music for the James Arnold Taylor Podcast.
Oh, that's very nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's the James Arnold Taylor Podcast. Talking to myself, the JATcast, man.
Yeah, man.
On today's show, Jat's gonna talk about stuff and it'll be very cool.
Okay.
Now, here he is, the same guy that's doing all the voices you're hearing, including this cool one, James Arnold Taylor!
Thank you, Mr. Announcer Guy.
You got it, man. I'm going to go now.
Oh, okay. He's crazy, but so am I, because we're one and the same. Welcome to the James Arnold Taylor Podcast. Me and my band of characters. It's called Talking to Myself because that's what I do. Whether you're listening or not, I'm probably in a little padded room somewhere talking to myself, doing voices because I'm a voice actor. And ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a voice actor. And now here I am in my home studio. I'm very, very blessed to have a beautiful home studio that I've got to build and make it my own. And so now I get to sit in it. Well, I'm standing. I don't sit. I stand. We can talk about that. Standing in my vocal booth on my microphone, doing an episode of the podcast that I love to do for all of you, because all of you are so kind to me. So whatever little kindness I can give back, or a lot of kindness I can give back, that's what I'd like to do. That's my goal in life. Because look, my life is an adventure. As every single one of us, we have a story. Every single person on planet Earth has a story. And let me tell you something right now, you that I'm talking to, you that is listening, you have a story. Your story is important and it means something. And it's gotten you to where you are. So let's breathe that in today as well, huh? Let's take in the fact that we are here. We are a story. We are a story in the making. We are a story that has happened, and it is constantly unfolding. And as we move forward in life, we'll look back with hindsight on some things we'll wish we could change, other things we'll wish could still be, other things we want to celebrate, other things we want to mourn. But that is what life is about. But the fact is, it's all a gift. This life is a gift. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you believe, but I'm welcoming you to this show. And you're going to hear me talk about my faith in this show because I am a person of faith. I'm a Christian. And if that may turn some people off, but what I would say is give it a shot, because I'm not going to sit here and just talk about my Christianity. I'm just saying it comes up in conversation. So if you're new to the show, just know I don't stray about talking about my faith, because it's really what makes me who I am, and it's part of my story. And again, each one of us has a story. So let's go on the adventure of a lifetime and enjoy the James Arnold Taylor podcast. You know, there are so many wonderful questions and comments and all these things that you all have been posting on my Instagram and on my YouTube and all of that. Let's go see if we can look at some of these. I'm going to go. So usually I've been going to the Instagrams to get comments from you all. Okay. But now I'm going to go to my YouTube channel. Do you subscribe to my YouTube channel? Hey, welcome to the show. If you are new to James Arnold Taylor, JAT, as I call myself, and as all of you have nicknamed me, JAT. Actually, Colette Sunderman, she is the first one to name me JAT, because they would put like JAT for my initials on call sheets and stuff when I was in jobs, and it's too long. So she started calling me JAT. She's the one that did it. But yes, Colette Sunderman is a fabulous director of voiceover and a casting person. And Colette is responsible. She cast me originally as Obi-Wan Kenobi. She is the reason that I am Obi-Wan Kenobi. For so many things, in so many ways. I give her so much credit, and I give her great thanks. There's so many casting directors in my life and in my career that I give great thanks to, because they're responsible for seeing, the abilities that I had or what have you. And they were the voice that went and said, let's use James Arnold Taylor. And so Colette Sunderman, you're probably not listening, but if you are, or if this shout out gets to you, I love you. And I thank you. I acknowledge that you are the one that first cast me as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I am so grateful for that. She also cast me as Johnny Depp's voice double for many things. And I'm so grateful for that. She cast me in so many episodes of Scooby-Doo and various forms of Scooby-Doo. And I'm so grateful for that. Andrea Romano is another brilliant, amazing director, casting director that cast me in so many things I'm so grateful for. Jack Fletcher, I am so grateful to Jack Fletcher for all of the amazing things he cast me in Final Fantasy X. Okay, pretty big. The Animatrix and some Looney Tunes and some other things that Jack cast me in. I'm so grateful. I would not be Titus. Yes, I say Titus. Some say Titus. If it were not for Jack Fletcher casting me in Final Fantasy X. God bless him. Yeah. And so God bless all the amazing folks that have cast me in many different things throughout the years. So on that note, I have a YouTube channel. I don't know what I was getting at. But anyways, on my YouTube channel, if you don't know my YouTube channel, please subscribe is what I was going to say, because I'm so close to 100,000 subscribers, and yet I'm so far away. I'll be at 98,000, and then it drops down to 96. I called YouTube at one point, and I asked them about that, and they said, it's like it's hot and cold. You lose a bunch of people, you gain a bunch of people, you lose a bunch of people. Because I would get these monthly reports that would say, you have 0 new subscribers. I'm like, that's not possible. I go to Comic-Cons. I sit in rooms with thousands of people at panels with Ashley and Matt, and I say, please subscribe to my channel. I find it impossible to believe that none of them subscribe to my channel. And yet I get my monthly reports that says you have 0 subscribers. I'm like, wow, new subscribers. But then they said, no, if the report comes out. Anyways, so I'm trying to get to 100,000. Wouldn't it be lovely to get to 100,000? So what I'm going to start doing, I've been talking about this. I'm going to start making some shorts, because I'm trying to, look, I'm an old guy. I put this stuff out, but I know I need to be putting more content out on my YouTube channel. So other than just my podcast, because the problem with the podcast coming out on the YouTube channel is there's no video to it. It's just audio, right? So it's just that picture of me with the logo, and people go, well, this isn't really a new video. I don't want to watch this. And it's an hour long. I'm not going to listen to this. But some of you do stick around and you listen to it on YouTube, for which I say thank you very much. But I've got to put some new YouTube things out, and I want to go to my channel. Okay, there's my channel. It's my videos. Let's go to the comments on the last episode of the James Arnold Taylor podcast. Let's just look at some of these. Okay. Padawan AR says, I've completely enjoyed this interview with Mr. Wilson. Oh, so the Tom Wilson interview was just out, a 2-parter with my good friend Tom Wilson. Is a very cool, very interesting person. Thanks to him for agreeing to come on, and thanks to you for sharing with us. Oh, and excited to hear about Hidden Blessings. So Hidden Blessings is my movie, and I am looking at putting it on my Vimeo as a thing that you can rent and or buy. So I'm going to probably have different levels of that to where you can rent it for, whatever rentals are, $3.99 or whatever, right? And then you could buy it for maybe, we might have it like $14.99. I hope that's reasonable to everybody, $15 to see my movie. But then I'm going to do a special edition that has the movie and then like an hour of outtakes, deleted scenes, extended scenes, and we may try to put like a commentary track on it as well. And for that one, it would be like $29.99. So, right? So like $4 or $5 for the rental, $15 for the purchase of the movie, and then $30 if you want the special edition. Does that seem reasonable? I hope so. Look, the movie I did out of pocket. So I've made no money on this, and I'm not trying to like make a bunch of money. So I feel bad charging people to see the movie, but at the same time, if I could make the money that I put into it back, that would really be lovely. My wife would be happy, right? Because I have a tendency to do these things for free, just like my podcast has always been free to all of you because, look, a lot of people have, the subscription base and all of that. And I've thought about doing that. And I know that a lot of you are so sweet. You want to support things that you like and all that. It's very hard as being somebody that's kind of, in the public eye. I hesitate to say a celebrity, but, a celebrity of some sort, some strange little odd sort. I'm a Z-list celebrity or whatever. But for me, because of that, I don't feel necessarily right. It's just like when I go to the Comic-Cons and they charge you all for autographs and all of that stuff. I always feel funny about all of those things. But at the same time, you got to make a living, right? And if people are enjoying it, because I love supporting other people's things. So I have to remind myself of that. It's like if you have a channel out there that is about, something that I was really interested in, I would support it. And if it was like, $5 a month, I'd be like, okay, or I might give $20, I might give it whatever, because however, we all choose to support however we want. So I struggle with asking all of you beautiful, wonderful people as my fans to support me in that way. I don't really know if I'm comfortable with that. But with the movie, I feel like I got to make it available to y'all. And if I just put it out there for free, then I'm never going to be able to make back the money that I put into it. And while it didn't cost me millions of dollars, it cost me tens of thousands of dollars to make this movie and to do the post-production and I did all of it myself. But what I mean is the advertising, the little things, the film festivals, all those little things, they add up, and the small little bits and pieces of things to get it out there. And so it would be wonderful if I could make some of the money back. But thank you, Padawan AR. I know who you are, and I thank you for that. Let's see. This one is from Bonasare, Bonasaitres for you. Bonasaires? Is that a, I don't know. Am I saying that right or am I not? I don't know. Maybe I'm not. For you is what it says. Said, I thoroughly enjoyed the second podcast with guest Tom Wilson. Thanks for always being positive, realistic, and encouraging in today's world. Well, you're welcome. Toria Burrell says, Dear Jat, peace and deep respect to you. I thoroughly enjoyed this latest podcast episode with you talking to Tom Wilson. He is such an interesting and inspiring person. I'm enjoying the variety of your content, where in some of your episodes you talk with people, and in some of your episodes you're purely talking to yourself. Even in those episodes where you are interviewing a guest, your questions, reactions, and interactions give an interesting reflection of who you are. You are such a good listener. You are kind, encouraging, and generous. Wow. Well, and I have a hard time accepting compliments, so thank you very much for that. And this is more about Hidden Blessings. I'm really excited to hear that your movie Hidden Blessings might soon be accessible to all of us. As soon as it is, I would be delighted to purchase a copy of it. See how funny this is? I'm just sitting here talking about this, and then I read this. I literally had no idea this was going to come up. I'm starting to spread the word now to my friends and family about your work, your podcast and YouTube channel, both in conversation and on social media. I hope that I might even, in a small way, be able to help you get subscribers numbers up to where they deserve to be. Oh, well, thank you. I have now finished listening to all of season 4 of your podcast and will continue to go back to hear the earlier ones too. It's wonderful that you've put out so much content. It gives us fans of yours something to keep going with while waiting for the next latest episode. Doing this deep dive into your work is so rewarding. In addition to all the fun, exciting, or entertaining stuff, I'm really struck by how open, honest, and vulnerable you allow yourself to be at times in sharing your feelings, spirituality, and personal stories about your life. It's so refreshing and inspiring. Well, that's very nice. I want to continue. Look at this. You're so kind. In addition to admiring your voice and your creativity, I find that I can really relate to your outlook on life and your worldviews too. As a musician and composer, I can relate to the need to create things. A musician and a composer, God bless you, that's neat. I can relate to the need to create things and send them out into the world and the universe. Also, as a wife and mother of two, oh, God bless you, I really appreciate your family values and family-oriented philosophies. I've had to learn to balance my music composing career with raising two children, so I can relate to the struggles at times of doing this. Wow. See, this is what I'm talking about, everybody. We all have stories, and this is Toria Burrell. Toria Burrell has a story. She has a life. She has a story. Each one of us has a story. What's your story today? That's what we're going to dive into today, okay? But she continues. Look at this. Is so nice. This is big, long comments on the YouTube. See, that's the nice thing about the comment section on the YouTube channel. That's why I keep the podcast on YouTube, because you can actually comment there. Also, as someone who struggles with anxiety attacks and burnout at times from the decades of performing on stage as a pianist, flautist, and singer, oh, wow, that's amazing. I really appreciate your moments of meditation during the podcast, when you pause and remind us all to take deep breaths, take a drink of water, think positively, and take care of our own health. That's exactly how we started the episode, too. I'm starting to hear your calming voice in my head now during day-to-day moments of stress, and it's helping to keep me grounded and calm. Thank you so much for this. So much of what you say resonates deeply with me. Thank you again so much for sharing all that you do, for inspiring us all, and for spreading real positivity and hope for humanity. With much love and warmest wishes, Toria. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Toria? Toria? That's a beautiful name. Thank you so much for your comments. I love that. Okay. Oh my goodness, look at everybody saying hello there. I'm looking through all the comments. I'm looking to see if there's any questions that you all have in these. I'm going to go back a couple of episodes here now of the podcast, okay? And let's look in. So what I'm doing is I'm staying on my YouTube channel. I'm going to go back to 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago's episode was one that was me just talking to everybody, right? Skip. I got to skip the ads. There's all these ads playing on my videos. Remember when YouTube didn't really have all the ads? Remember when you could just watch stuff on YouTube? Wasn't that wild? Okay. Oh, that's Christopher Lee. Okay, Christopher says, God just showing his wonderful works, talents, and craft within you, your gifts and your family. Amen, bro, JAT. Thank you, my brother. Always a refreshing and room temperature glass of water. Thank you, brother in Christ. Yes, indeed. Yes, you are, Christopher. Yes, you're a wonderful guy. Christopher has been a fan of mine for I don't even know how long. He's been following me, it feels like, from the beginning. God bless you, my friend. He's a talented artist in his own right, and he's just a light. I always smile, Christopher, when I see your posts, your comments, and your thumbs up and stuff on my things. So thank you so much for that. There's so many of you wonderful folks that have been listening and following me in my journey on social media for all these years. Because again, look, you got to understand, social media is for probably the generation before, after me, right? You know, I'm a Gen X, right? There's all the different generations. You've got the baby boomers. Before that, you had the greatest generation, and then the Gen Xers, which I am. The millennials came after that, which is weird that it wasn't a Gen whatever, like another letter, but they were the millennials, and then the Gen Z, and now I don't know what it is now. My daughter would know, and so, but my daughter is a Gen Z. So you got all these different generations. Now, so what I was trying to say is, as a Gen Xer, I grew up, I was like the first generation to kind of have computers. Like I owned an Apple computer. Well, I worked at the radio stations. They had Apple computers. And then when I finally bought a computer, I bought an Apple. I've been an Apple user ever since. But it was like the beginning, because I'm a product of the 80s. I grew up in the 80s. So Apple computers was brand new. So I've come along with all of this, but I've also been at enough of the age where the past generations are still very much in my system and my way of life. And so unlike the next generation, the millennials, who grew up pretty much with, technology all around them from day one, it's a little different. So for me to keep up on social media and do all these things, like I don't have Facebook anymore. I got rid of my Facebook. I just didn't have time for another one of those, and it didn't fit. I didn't enjoy it, if I'm being honest. And then I had Twitter and YouTube, and I was really on Twitter a lot. But then Twitter got very kind of whatever. People were all going on about Twitter, and then Instagram seemed a little more like, well, okay, I can just post a picture here and there, and it can be kind of nice and all of that, right? And then I'll still keep my comments up on my YouTube because I post my videos. And I was really concentrating on posting things on YouTube. And so for like, what is it? Like from 2015, I think. 2015, I really started posting on YouTube. I started vlogging. I got into it. I made my shows, Clone Wars Conversations, A Certain Point of View. I had all these different programs at JAT Drive, the day in the life of a voice actor. I created all these videos, and there's literally hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel if you don't know about it. There's over 700 videos I've created on that YouTube channel. And one of which of the you can go to all the playlists and see different things that I've created there. One of them was JAT 365, which is based on the book that I did, which was based upon my social media because, again, this is all having full circle. Being a product of the 80s, the 70s and 80s, really, I was on social media as somebody that, again, wasn't really part of the social media generation, but, you know, a little older than that. So I was like, man, everybody's so brutal on this. I want to do something nice because my life is a gift. I've mentioned it before on this show many times. I shouldn't exist. I really shouldn't. I'm the product of two people doing what they shouldn't have been doing, you know? And so because I'm the product of an affair. Sorry, I know there's kids listening. And so I'm illegitimate. And I shouldn't even exist. So I'm a gift. This life is a gift to me. The fact that I'm here, the fact that I'm alive, it's a gift. And I'm grateful. And then I found my faith in God when I was in my late teens and into my 20s. And I feel like God has blessed me because there was so many times in my young life that I saw a lot of bad things. There was a lot of things that happened that my life could have been taken from me during those times. And I'm not trying to sound dramatic. I'm just being factual. I'm just telling you because all of us have, again, our stories. So when I wake up and I look at my life, I really try to be grateful for the fact that I'm alive, that I'm blessed, that I have an amazing wife who I give so much credit to. I give all credit to God, and I give so much credit to my wife for being just a plain and simple, just matter-of-fact believer of God and life. And she showed me how to be that because I'm crazy. You know, I grew up in a crazy house. I grew up with a crazy making parent. I grew up with a lot of stuff that kids shouldn't grow up with. And so I, you know, after many years of therapy, I'm being honest because you know what? I think therapy can be a great thing for people. You can get addicted to therapy too. Don't get addicted to therapy, but make sure that if you're in therapy, you're with somebody that's actually calling you out on your own stuff as well as other people's, not just saying, oh yeah, you were a victim. Because all of us can play the victim card on any point in our lives, right? So I don't want to be a victim of anything. I want to be blessed. I know some bad things have happened to me. Some bad things have happened to my family. I give grace and love and forgiveness because I understand that each one of us is fallible and has made these mistakes in our lives. And so I don't hold any resentments towards anybody. But at the same time, we have to have walls of protection up against our, people and things that we know will hurt us. So we have to know our boundaries. You have to know boundaries. You can't be codependent. I'm using all the therapy talk here. And those of you that have been through therapy are nodding your heads. Yes, I understand, James. Or preach it, James, or whatever. And then those that aren't are going like, what is wrong with this dude? No, what I'm saying is, each of us has an adventure and we can choose how we want that story to play out. It's like the choose your own adventure books. Remember when we were kids, the old choose your own adventures? We can choose our own adventure. And I'm choosing to be grateful, to be thankful, to be forgiving, but also to be protective of what I have in my life and with my family. And that's a tough balance. So when we put things out there into the world, I just want to be able to say I'm being honest, you know? I'm being honest. I'm being vulnerable in that honesty sometimes with y'all, and which is what was mentioned there in the comments. And what else can we do, right? Our story is our story. And I know that so many of you have painful stories. And there's a lot of times in life, the person that you wish more than ever would say, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. They won't say it. And then you have to make a choice in life to go, okay, I forgive them anyways, which is what we got to do. We got to, if not for them, for yourself, okay? I choose to forgive people for them as well as myself because I am a sinner saved by grace. I've made as many mistakes as anybody else. So even though some people have hurt me deeply, I forgive them because I've hurt people deeply, right? And wow. But Do we have to continue to be around people that hurt us deeply? No, we don't. So that's where sometimes we have to make those choices. I don't know why I'm off on this tangent, but I am. So I'll just go with it and just explain that there are some people in my life that have hurt me in ways that, as much as I love them and I care for them and I forgive them, I can't be around them anymore because it's not safe or good or healthy for them or me. And maybe, just maybe, somebody is listening today, and that's the reason why I'm saying this. They need to accept the fact that maybe they can love somebody, but they got to let them go. And that's a painful, hard thing to do sometimes. But sometimes in life, we have to do those things. Now, I am not telling people to do that right now. That's the other thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not giving anybody any advice right now. I'm sharing with you about my life. Okay, so please don't anybody take this and go, James Arnold Taylor told me to do. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying if you're struggling with, like, what do I do in this relationship? I can tell you that if you've made a choice to go, you know what, I think I need a break from this relationship or this environment, it's okay to take a break. It's okay. And it's okay to, but here's what I'm telling you. Love them and pray for them and forgive them for your own heart and for theirs. And even if they don't say, please forgive me, forgive them, and then just pray that maybe someday they would. I'm still praying that maybe someday people that I haven't asked for that forgiveness on me would someday say that to me. I really am. And I'm not saying that because I think they're listening, because I know they're not. So, okay, I don't know why I got off on that tangent, but, I guess somebody needed to hear that today. Anyways, let's go to this one. My favorite voice actor. This is Watto7291 says, my favorite voice actor, the voice of my favorite video game character, Ratchet. Yes. And so amazing at voicing Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars that when I was a kid, I genuinely thought it was Ewan McGregor. Hope you're having fun, Jat. Well, thank you, Watto7291. Watto, hey, your Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. It's Watto. Okay, Watto. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank is one of those games, man. I love it. I hope we get to do more of them someday. I really do. Let's see. Shenanigan Skywalker. Yes, I gave you a follow, didn't I? Said, hey, Jat, super cool meeting you at Comic-Con. Thanks for always brightening my day with your podcast. Shenanigan Skywalker. I like that. Shenanigan. You were the chosen one. Okay. Let's see. This is Thomas Musket. 6527 says, thank you for sharing this, Mr. Taylor. I've also been trying to learn more about my Catholic faith these past couple of years, and it's been helping me to see its beauty more fully and to bring me closer to God and those around me. It hasn't always been easy, but it has brought me so much happiness and understanding. Well, that's great. See, there's many different, so again, there's folks that are Catholic that listen to this. There's folks that are atheists that listen to this podcast. There's folks of Jewish. There's folks of Muslim. There's folks of Buddhists. I know that there's several folks that listen to this that are Buddhists. But I'm a Christian. So, we all, I think, here's the thing. The world is trying to say, but I disagree with this. And I think all of you disagree with this because you're listening to this show, is we're all, we want everybody to believe the way we believe, right? We want everybody to think the way we think. But at the same time, we're not willing to just cut anybody and everybody off that doesn't believe the way we do, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be, because you'd have nobody to listen to. I mean, my wife and I agree probably on 90% of things, but there's still 10% that we don't agree on, right? And it's not like, well, then I can't speak to her. So I love that people of different faiths and walks or different denominations of Christianity even could be here listening and going, yeah, what you're saying is helping me dive deeper into what I believe, right? And exploring my faith and my relationship with God, or whatever. I think that that's important. So I think that's wonderful. So let's see. Banana Bike 279 says, great episode. Even though I'm not of faith, it's really interesting to hear you talk about your faith, what you believe in and why you believe it. Well, that's great. And then they say the story about Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank gave a good chuckle. Okay, well, that's very cool. All right, well, thank you, Banana Bike 279. Look at that. We got all sorts of comments and questions. Let's see. Shall we jump over to Instagram? I'm just trying to kind of cover the gamut of some of your all of your questions and comments here. Let's see. I could go way back now to where I posted saying, hey, do you have a question? There's a lot of questions. Okay, here it was. So this was back in January. you have questions for the upcoming episodes of Talking to Myself. And there's over 239 questions now. Let's go to newest first. Hey, James, I have a question about your bout with vertigo. This is James. Oh, James Younger audio again. Yes. He says, your experience with vertigo is very close to my experience with it. I got COVID back in 2020, and while I was recovering a few days later, I ended up having a really bad case of vertigo in the middle of the night. I woke up to the room spinning as well as nystagmus with my eyes. Yeah. That's where they bounce left and right really quickly. Yes. Well, I ended up sleeping propped up in bed for about a year because the experience was so terrifying for me. Thank God I'm back to sleeping normally now, but I wanted to ask if any of your symptoms ever come back or if you do anything to help keep them in check, or do you not even think about it anymore? My wife helped me perform the Epley maneuver and it seemed to work. I've only been slightly dizzy here and there since. Nothing like my initial experience. As always, thank you so much for all the time and effort you put into the podcast. I very much appreciate it. James, well, first off, James Younger audio. If you're not following James Younger, give him a follow. He was very kind to put a very nice video out about me last week. And SE Electronics microphones. By the way, this is not a sponsor. SE Electronics is not a sponsor, but I love SE Electronics microphones, and I have a cabinet full of them, thanks to them. And I want to say thanks to James because he was using those mics as well. But James, yeah, your question about vertigo. Look, I think you and I had an extremely similar circumstance. Now, it wasn't after COVID. It was actually during a time that was... So, look, I don't talk about this much because I don't really want any of this stuff coming back. But, for those of you that have followed me for a while, there was a time where folks were trying to kind of cancel me online and such. And because I had a specific type of social media app that I honestly had, not knowing that it was going to be such a political maelstrom that would come up about it. But people were trying to cancel me. They were trying to get me fired from my jobs and such because of the way of the world. And when that happened, I was so stressed out. I was so broken by it all and hurt by it. And I was going through such a stressful time that something at that point triggered this vertigo in me, I guess. And I had also had a little bump on the back of my head, which I was getting up out of my stairwell. I had some storage stuff under my stairwell, and I got up and I hit my head. And that may have also dislodged a crystal. So when you get vertigo, usually it is due to crystals being dislodged in your inner ear. And they can go in one of 3 different canals in the inner ear after that. And when they are floating through those canals is what gives you the vertigo, which is a terrible, terrible feeling. And I know that a few of you here that listen have experienced that. And I'm so, so sorry, because vertigo is a brutal thing to have happen. And James, I am so sorry, my brother, that happened to you, because I still, to answer your question, every morning when I wake up and I get up, I still, because it had hit me in the morning, I woke up, cracked my neck, and that's when everything snapped and everything started spinning. I still have PTSD about it. I really do. And I try not to. I try not to think about it, but I still do. And I pray that it doesn't come back. So I am with you on that. And I slept for a very long time sitting upright as well, because I had the vertigo for about 2 months. And I had it once before, earlier, back in, probably 2008, 2009. I was in a car accident. I got hit by somebody turning left in front of me. And my wife and daughter were in the car with me too. My daughter was a baby at the time. It was not very cool, but I got some whiplash from it. And the next morning I woke up with vertigo. They were able to do the Epley maneuver on me then, and it worked. When I had it for 2 months, a few years back, the Epley would not work. I went to specialists all over. They were trying to fix it. I thought maybe I had Meniere's disease. They didn't know what exactly was going on. It turned out I finally found a doctor that said, I think they misdiagnosed the canal that it was in. Sure enough, they were doing some tests on me. And during the middle of the tests where they induced the vertigo, I very much felt like God was saying, you're okay. You're going to be okay. And after that, the vertigo stopped. And I never have gotten it again. Knock wood. Thank you, Jesus. But I still do get dizzy sometimes due to, histamine count. Some of it can be histamine sometimes. I find that, allergies, and it's allergy season now, and I will get a little dizzy from time to time. If I turn my head a certain way sometimes, I'll feel like things will start to spin a little, like, whoa, and I kind of catch myself. I think some of that stuff is due actually to, I'm bringing all this up. This is a very different episode today, isn't it? I'm talking about all these deep things. But James, some of this could be for you as well. my friend. With what I do with my voice work, I use and tighten and stress my neck muscles so much. And I was talking with David Cunningham, who is the director of the TV show, or not TV show. Well, yeah, it'll be a TV show. It'll be on Angel Studios. Gabriel and the Guardians, the show Gabriel and the Guardians that I'm working on. My director on that, David Cunningham, has had some similar experiences with his neck and ears and things. Has had ear troubles, because I've had ear troubles for a long time. Most of my adult life, I've had problems with my ears. They get plugged. They won't pop when I'm on an airplane. I'll have pain and whatever. And so flying is hard sometimes. He told me that some of his was due to these neck muscles being overworked and pinched and what have you. Well, sure enough, when I do my work in the studio, I am constantly straining and stressing the muscles in my neck. And I'm wearing headphones, which are big, heavy. I wear these very cool Bear Dynamic 770 headphones, which are great, but they're also heavy. And if you're working in a studio for 4 hours straight with headphones on, it's stress and pressure on your neck while you're then straining and stressing and screaming and yelling and doing things like, I always tell people, they go, oh, voiceover, that's easy. And you just, you get in a little room and you talk. It's like, no, most of the time you're screaming and yelling at the top of your lungs. And think about having like the biggest knockdown, drag out, screaming fight that you could have with somebody verbally. That's what voice actors do on a regular basis, is we go into little rooms and we scream at the top of our lungs. And what that does to the body is very stressful. That's why I'm all about drinking water, which, by the way, come on, let's drink some water. Come on.
It's time to drink some water. That's good water.
That is good water. Thank you, Mr. Announcer Guy.
Yeah, man.
We need to breathe. Let's breathe. So the strain on my neck is causing some of the problems in my inner ears. That's a long way around, James, to say that I don't know what your neck issues are. I've had whiplash several times in my life from car accidents. I've been hit from behind from other cars many times, and I've been hit straight on, turned in front of me at times. I'm not trying to make it sound like I've never been at fault, but I've never been at fault in any of these accidents. I've always been hit by somebody else. But it's given me whiplash several times, which hurt my neck, which also has given me vertigo. It's given me those things. And so my neck is pretty fragile. So I go and I have physical therapy done on my neck and ears to help. And I have found that it really helps if they work the upper part, the base of my neck, where C1 and all that is. That is a huge help. And then I do a lot of self-massage there up in the base of my neck. And I have like one of those little massager things that you put up there and you really try to, it's not one of the ones that vibrates. It's just like almost like a thumb, and you kind of press it. And then I have these ones that are like these tennis balls, and you put them on there and you lay down on them, and then you do kind of like little neck lifts and stuff. And I do all these exercises to help my neck because my neck gets strained from doing all these voices. When I'm going,
it's an all-new Bob's Burgers and The Simpsons coming up next on Fox.
Well, as you all know, that's not my regular voice. So to get there, I have to strain and stress a lot of muscles in my neck, in my throat, and in my chest, in my shoulders. And so I'm straining and stressing my neck and body in ways that other people don't. And a lot of times that can create issues in the ears as well, is what I'm finding. So some of it is that. But James, I'm going to be praying for you. And I know that I believe others, like I say, have commented on this. Natalia, you're listening. I know you're always listening. Everything. God bless you, Natalia. I think you said you suffer from vertigo from time to time too. Anybody that has ever suffered from vertigo or dizziness or anything, oh, I feel for you. It's such a terrible feeling. And I'll be praying for all of you now. And I just pray for healing and blessings upon you all, because it's no fun. But James, you're not alone, okay? We are kindred spirits in more ways than one, I guess. Look at that. God bless you, my friend. I hope I get to meet you someday. So, well, the show has been just kind of a free-for-all here of me looking at comments and questions. Let's see. Let's get one more here. This one is from the Jester 00. It says, hey, my name is Corey. My question would be, I said, Kenny mentioned me above Kenny. Wait, I'm going to go backwards here. Okay, wait, let me look. There's two questions here. This one is from IMYENNEK, but I think that's Kenny backwards. I am Kenny. It says, hi, JAT. You've been a blessing to the fans of the Clone Wars and so many other franchises. I just want to thank you for all the care and effort you put into treating your fans well. You all are so nice. I'm not trying to read these to Bill like, oh, aren't I great? Look at all my fans love me. I'm doing it because I want to acknowledge that you're acknowledging me, and I'm reading these because I think it's kind of fun for you to hear them read out loud on the show, okay? So, here's my actual question. I've written 2 really cool Christian fantasy novels that me and a buddy named Corey Rosen, and Corey puts the comment above after him. Corey Rosen from the Story Podcast, look him up, okay, are planning on turning into a dramatized audio narrative. I was wondering if you've got any tips in regard to fostering positive production experience for voice actors and getting the most out of them. And if you might have any recommendation on who to help this project find a good audience. Lastly, slightly selfish side note, if you'd ever want more info about this project and want to lend your voice ever for a random cameo line, I'd be beyond stoked. Even if not, I hope you can listen to it eventually or even read it, as I'm hoping to publish the book version by the year's end. Watching the behind-the-scenes footage from Clone Wars as I grew up stoked a creative flair in me that I hope God continues to use. Grace and peace, Kenny. So, thank you, Kenny. So Kenny has written a project. That's awesome. And you're asking, I'm wondering if you've got any tips in regard to fostering a positive production experience for voice actors. What I would say is let them, take what they can from the characters and really make the most out of it through that, but also just listen to them, give them what you're looking for. Actors are people pleasers. All of us are people pleasers. We want to do the right thing. We want to give the people what they want. Most voice actors are even more so than on camera because it's like all we're using is our voice. So we just want us. So make sure, you give them those opportunities to do what they want to do with it, but also give them enough direction in that, but don't over-direct them. I know that sounds like, but there is a balance. So I would just say, just making it a fun environment for them. Don't do take after take after take of a line. 3 or 4 takes should be enough. And if they're an experienced, good enough voice actor, that should be enough. If you're not getting what you want from the person, just try to be honest and say, I want to direct you the right way, but I don't feel I'm getting the right thing. Honesty is the best policy. Just really try to make a fun environment. I think that will come out in the process. So I hope that helps you. As far as recommendations on who to help this project find a good audience, boy, I got to tell you, Kenny, there is no magic button or whatever this saying goes on that. I don't know anymore because, here I've made a movie that I think is a good movie. Everybody that has seen it has really liked it. There's maybe 1 or 2 people, literally out of several hundred people that have seen my movie Hidden Blessings, that have said, it wasn't for me. Most everybody has seen it and said, wow, that was really great. And yet I can't get it out there. I can't get it distributed and stuff because there's so much going on. There's so many ways. See, it's kind of the problem with there being so many creative outlets now and so much technology out there that the good stuff, it's hard for it to rise to the top. I don't really know what the magic word or answer is for getting people to see or enjoy or take things in the right way or get it out there other than just keep trying, just keep pushing. Be persistent. That's what I was in my career. I was persistent and friendly and try to stay humble and try to listen to other people and take advice and do your best to be the nicest person in the room. Not because you're trying to fake anything, but because you honestly want that. That's what I honestly want. I want people, unfortunately, that's not possible, but you want everybody to like you, but you want everybody to enjoy your stuff too. Let's see. There's a follow-up from Corey, who Kenny mentioned. It's the next question in the comments. It says, hey, my name is Corey. Kenny mentioned me above. Yeah. My question would be, what is one technique, if any, are you still working on as a voice actor? Or alternatively, what is one role that you would like to have that you haven't? Well, I'm always working on my mic technique, how close or far away I am from the microphone, because it's all different in different mics. As far as roles go, I always dreamed of playing Bugs Bunny. I would have loved that. But that's probably not going to happen. And then you go on to say, also to reiterate what Kenny said, and as a personal aside, we are both giant Star Wars and Kenobi fans. Well, thank you so much, guys. If you'd be willing to spare a line or two for our project, The Knight of Ladish, that's the name of it, we would be eternally grateful, rather. Imagine a C.S. Lewis Chronicles of Narnia or J.R.R. Tolkien Lord of the Rings style story. Fantasy with Christian themes. Well, I love that. That sounds great, guys. Look, I get asked, everybody always has to understand, I get asked all the time to be a part of projects and to say or do lines and things. And I can't always, sometimes there's legalities that make it to where I can't. Even the amazing Clone Wars scene that was done by the folks that did the Revenge of the Sith fight, and they did it in Clone Wars style, the animation, they had asked me to do some voiceover. I got the word that they asked me to do it. I think it was probably a little too late. I wasn't able to really get to them in time. But even that, there's some legalities that I can't always just voice things. And then depending on other things that I'm working on that I can't talk about sometimes. So, and then there's just, look, I'm going to be honest because you're all listening to the JAT Fellowship. There's sometimes it's like, if I say yes to one thing, I have to say yes to all things, and that makes it very hard. There are some projects that sometimes I'm able to say yes to, and I lend my voice to, and it's circumstances that the doors open in the right way. So who knows, guys? Look, I'll check out your stuff. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I think, look, I get asked these things a lot. A lot of times it's just schedule permitting. So I will take a look. It's the best I can promise is I'll take a look at you guys' stuff, but just know, because I know everybody now is going to want to go, oh, James, look at my stuff and follow me and be on my podcast and all that. I love you all. I really do. And I want to be on everybody's. But at the same time, I just can't. I can't actually be on everybody's podcast all the time because just time and schedule. So I hope that doesn't come off as a cop-out. I hope that doesn't come off wrong with everybody. I hope you all understand. I try to interact with my fan base as much as I can because I love you all. I thank you all. I'm appreciative for all of you being there and following me and being a part of my story because you all have your stories, as I said. So the way I would want to end this episode is, and I didn't really do any voices today. I didn't bring any characters on, but what's your story? How is your story playing out? How do you think you can get more excited about your story? What part of your story has been a challenge that you could turn around and go, oh, I'm going to make this something that makes me stronger, okay? Like when I lost my voice to black toxic mold years ago, I went, okay, how can I make my voice stronger? How can I learn? How can I grow from this, right? When I had the vertigo, as James had, and I went, this is terrible, but Lord, what's the strength part of this story that you're trying to give me? And I leaned on him and I prayed and he healed that. I haven't had it since, and God willing, I won't have it anymore. But if I do, I'm going to lean on him. You know, I experienced what they call tinnitus. I have ringing in my ears. And for the first couple of years that I had it, boy, it gave me massive anxiety and depression because I couldn't. I was like, and I prayed, God, let this just become something that I can handle and cope. And he allowed me to handle and cope with it. And it doesn't bother me anymore. It's there, but I don't think about it. And I'm able to ignore it for the most part. And so what's your story? What are the parts you're struggling with in your story today? And how can you find the strength to get past it and through it to the other side and know that it's making you a stronger version of you, the superhero version of you, right? But also know that we have to care for others. We have to love others. We can't be a victim. We can't just be seeking for ourselves all the time. We have to be giving to others, and we have to forgive others. We have to love them no matter what. You know, I'm saying we have to. Look, I think for me, I have to. And I hope that for all of you as well, that you would find that. And by listening to this, you'd be encouraged that whoever you're having a tough time with, you'd learn to love them anyways. It doesn't mean you have to be around them. But if you can love them and forgive them, try it. And whatever struggles you're going through, if you're dealing with physical or emotional things, look, I mean, tomorrow I am going to, okay, I got to take a breath. Tomorrow I'm going to a memorial for a dear friend of mine that passed away way too young, Gabriel Patillo. Gabe was a dear friend that I met just within the last year or so, and we became fast friends, and Gabe was a wonderful man, wonderful human being. Beautiful soul, a beautiful light to this world. He was a lover of God. He was a Christian, and he loved this life. And he had cancer, and it took him. It took him very quickly, but at the same time, it was a miracle that he lived as long as he did because he outlived what they said by at least a year or more. And I'm going to his memorial tomorrow. And it's going to be tough. I had lunch with one of his dearest friends today, Ed, and his wife, Sarah, and they are beautiful, wonderful people. And I was just reminded that everybody has a story and that every one of us is affected by each of our lives. And as I close this one out, I want to dedicate this episode to my dear friend, Gabe Patillo, who wow. I was in my booth. I was in this booth. I was recording for a project that I can't talk about yet, but I was doing these scenes where I was laughing. I had to laugh a bunch, like I was hearing the funniest thing in the world. And I got a text in from another dear friend of mine letting me know that Gabe had passed. And of course, they felt bad that they texted me while I was working. They didn't know I was working, but that's the life of a voice actor. You're always in a booth somewhere. And I was like, okay, now I got to act happy and laugh. Well, I just found out that, oh my gosh, somebody that was just such a beautiful soul has passed on. And while I know he's okay, he's in heaven. He has 3 young, beautiful children and an amazing wife, and so many people that loved him that are left now without him. And we're all just sad, you know? So I'm giving you permission to be sad about things that make you sad, but I'm also giving you permission to laugh once it's time to laugh again. Because my friend Ed, who is a new friend now, because of my friend Gabe, who's no longer with us, he brought me and Ed together. And that's beautiful. See, we make marks on lives. What mark are you making on lives today? How can you affect people's lives? And the way we can affect people's lives is, even though we go through trials and struggles and we are victims of things and bad things happen to us and there's stuff that people do and say that we can't believe, and they do hurtful things and we do hurtful things and we hurt each other, we can also be a light and laugh and love and show joy to people and go, yeah, man, it's part of the journey. It's part of our story. It's all a part of it. So let's breathe deep. Let's drink some water. Let's hydrate. Let's keep healthy. Let's eat right. Let's do our best to be the best people we can. And even when we're having a terrible day, let's try to smile at somebody and say, hi, how are you? Good to see you. God bless you. Because that's what life is. Life is a gift, but it's also, as the book of Ecclesiastes says, it's a vapor, meaning it goes very quickly. So it also says to live, laugh, and love and enjoy as much of it as you can, because it's been a gift that's been given to you by our Creator. And I believe that. And I hope that you can feel His joy right now as you listen to this show. And I thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for listening to this show. Each and every one of you. I'll do another one. I'll be back next week, and I'll do something funny and funky, and I'll do a bunch of voices, I promise, next week. But this week, we were a little reflective, because it's still very fresh to me that my friend has passed and I'm going to his memorial. And it's still very fresh to me that there's so many hurting souls out there in this world. And it's still very important to me to say, you matter. You listening to this right now. God loves you. So I love you, and you matter. You really matter. So please, please breathe that in, enjoy that, accept that, believe that, and have a beautiful day, a beautiful night. Okay? You're loved. You're loved. God bless y'all. Hey, Mr. Announcer Guy, do that legal mumbo jumbo to get us out of this awkward situation that James put us in by being all serious.
You got it, man. Talking to Myself, the James Arnold Taylor Podcast is a production of Yumigo Inc., recorded at JAT Studios. Engineered, written, recorded, and produced by, you guessed it, James Arnold Taylor. All voices are parody and should be construed as entertainment only. All music and sound effects used with permissions and licenses through Backtracks, Digital Juice, Production Tracks, and Partners in Rhyme. James Arnold Taylor's Talking to Myself, the Podcast. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to the James Arnold Taylor Podcast. It was a weird one. I went off on a tangent. I talked about funky things. I hope y'all still love me and appreciate it. And I hope you learned and growed. I hope you learned and growed. I hope you learned some stuff and grew from it all. See, I'm leaving that in. I'm not going to edit that out. Normally, I would edit that out. But no, see, we can learn from our mistakes. God bless y'all. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Goodbye.